Granger for President podcast. Always political, never politically correct. And if he ever does run for president, God help us all.
Welcome to the Granger for President podcast. No, I am not running for president, but everything that we talk about is political in nature. So today I have Jessica Smith with me.
Thank you, first of all, for having me on. I'm the host of the Game of Love podcast. I'm a retired dating coach, and so I've helped hundreds of people with their love lives over the years. Very passionate about love. So yeah, I love love. I've talked about love for many years, and now you've brought me on to talk about love. Love and politics.
Love and politics. So today, the two main tasks is that I really want to go over, and with you specifically, is I wanted to talk about modern dating and how it relates to people's political stances, right? Like, I grew up in a time where, you could date people who were opposite. Like if you're Republican and they're Democrat, it wasn't that big a deal. There was a middles, and a lot of people were in it. And it seems though that I still believe that there is a middle. I still believe that more people are in the middle. I think there's a silent majority in the middle. That being said, it doesn't feel like that. And it doesn't sound like that, and it doesn't look that.
I agree.
And so it's become this concern. It's like, well, I have female friends and male friends that will tell me they're on dating apps, but now they're trying to put these filters in for politics. Now, some of the dating apps, which is interesting, is they actually have political filters. I've seen that before. Well, I was years ago when I was on a dating app. I haven't had it on my phone for years, but I've seen those on this. And for the ones that don't, I know for a fact that people will put in verbiage like, if you're not MAGA, get out of here, or if you're not,
if you voted for Trump, swipe left.
Yeah, exactly, right. Or or if you're a Biden hater, there's no room for here.
Yeah,
you pick your side, and there's gonna be a ton of people that are gonna do that in there. So I want to talk a little bit about that from your perspective. What have you seen with this? I mean, how about this? Do you think that men and women, on average anyway, can date across the political spectrum these days?
Ooh, well, you and I are about the same age, and
how dare you? I am 25 years old.
Listen, I look younger than you, but we are the same age. And growing up in a time that people could date and marry somebody in another political party. Like that's how I grew up. I grew up in a house divided. My grandfather was a Democrat and my grandmother was a Republican, and they lived in harmony their entire lives. They were soulmates. We had a happy family, and they would take little jabs at each other every once in a while, and it was cute because they would on election day. They would both go and vote, and they would say, well, we're just going to cancel the vote out, and it was cute. Now that is not the case. Now, I agree with you, what you said. A lot of people are more moderate, and I think those people, they really get kind of overlooked and lost in the rhetoric of dating and politics and being online and everything, because what really stands out are the people that are super political and they are putting it in their bios. They are setting their filters to, whatever political party they are, they're in. So to answer your question,
That's the past though.
Can people date and be in different political parties? I don't think so. It is hard.
And again, we're saying generally speaking, right? Obviously, because there's gonna be someone in the comments like, well, my parents that's fine. To be clear, anytime I make a general statement, if anyone has an exception to that, I don't disagree. I've already baked that into the equation. You know what I mean? I'm like, yes, I agree with you that your case, and maybe some friends, but generally speaking, I do agree with you though. And that's because I've been watching this. And again, the way, like you said, like on the dating apps, just on comments online, I'm even seeing just regular social media starting to filter down. Like Instagram is actually the biggest dating app. I'll just share it. Yeah, and it is because it's not, right? Like the only reason that Instagram is the biggest dating app is because it's not considered a dating app. And so it relieves that pressure of someone feeling like that they're on there just because they're singing. It's like, no, you're on Instagram. But it is absolutely...
It's the best dating app. I mean, I've met like...
It's mine. Yeah, it's mine.
3.7 million. But it is because, you know, you got a little bio and you have a ton of pictures and videos. So you can see people. Well, as far as, you know, dating now and, you know, the different political parties, I want to touch on just the obvious. And when we are dating and we are in a dating app or out in the wild, we are looking for a partner that's like-minded, that shares our beliefs and our ideas. And, you know, when we sit down as a couple and we're talking, like, you know, you and I are talking and we're talking politics and we're on the same page. That feels so good. It's validating.
Are you hitting on me right now? Because it feels like he's saying, I mean, like, are we a couple? Is that what you're trying to...
I mean, we're role playing.
We're on the role play. You got me. And who is like a good little role play, right? I'm going to throw you off. I'm going to make you forget everything you're saying. I got margaritas in me. I don't give a shit.
Listen, okay. So we are talking about politics. We are agreeing. And, you know, we're going back and forth and we're passionate and we're like, oh, and this and that. You know, we're going through issues and everything and we're bonding. And what happens when we're doing this, we're getting hits of dopamine and serotonin and oxytocin. So it creates this beautiful bond between us, which is great because that's what we're looking for, right? We want somebody to bond with. But the downside of that, when people are not moderate and they're on one side or the other, is it becomes this insulated bubble that we are in as a couple. And then we're just regurgitating the same ideas and thoughts, and there's no room for growth. And that's the downside of it. Now, on the other side, when we are, let's say, more moderate and we're able to swing from one side or the other, and
again, I'm in political swingers. Is that what you're saying? Political swingers.
I mean, yeah,
let's coin the term right now. That's it.
Coiners, okay, trademark. Okay, first of all, let me say, in the history of Facebook fights, there has never been a moment that somebody has said something so factual, something so powerful, something so freaking brilliant, or like a great zinger, and the person on the receiving end goes,
totally changed their mind.
You know what? You're so right. Oh my God, you got me. Or like, you just schooled me. Like nobody, like in those moments, words fall on deaf ears, right? Go back to dating. Let's say we like a person, okay? And they are, you know, a little on the other side. I don't know why I'm like, you to get you right.
Okay.
But if
I'm gonna grab my margarita.
If we like someone, okay, and I'm gonna use you and I as an example. Hey, you're
not excited feelings. You're pretty. I'll take it.
I mean, thank you.
I'm prettier, but you know,
debatable. Well, whatever. My point is if I like you and you say something that is a little like to me, like a little like out of my comfort zone, out of my belief system, you know, whatever, I am more apt to stop and listen to you. I mean, we might fight. Like there's going to be blows that are, you know.
God willing, the outcome. And I'm like, those are great fights. Imagine how many fights I would pick with you.
I'm screaming right now. That was so good. That was really good.
So girls usually do scream when it's that good.
Anyway, all right. So
it's a love part.
You say something and I'm a little like, ooh, I don't know about that. But I like you. And so I am more apt to be curious and be like, okay, well, I don't like that, but let's talk about it. And all of a sudden there is room for growth and expansion. And I think that's a beautiful thing.
So I think it's interesting that you said this because this actually brings up a topic. So I'm a big fan of intersectional dynamics, right? Like my degree is in psychology. I've probably spent the last 20 years just studying almost just that, along with marketing psychology, because that's what I do as a business. But what's funny is that and I'm going to catch shit for this because a lot of people don't agree with this, but there's just some subjection or objective facts of like, men are incredibly unlikely to change their views because of their woman. Okay? They might they might just not bring theirs up. There's a lot of men who will just be like, hey, like for example, let's say you have a feminist wife and a Trump-loving husband, right? Rare. Really say you have a. Generally speaking, for the most part, you're going to find that just to keep the peace, the man is more likely to just...
Wow, you're kind of smart, Jason.
Wow, oh no. I am not smart because I would not do this. I know what you're saying. Said generally speaking. I didn't say Granger. Granger here, I would absolutely go the other way. I am in the exception to that rule. But my point is that men usually keep their beliefs, whereas women are more likely to change their beliefs if, and only if, they are in love and taken care of. And it's a survival mechanism more than anything. To be completely fair, it's programmed in the back of the brain. Now, for any woman watching this who hates everything I'm saying right now, I'm like, not me. Well, okay, A, great. Already baked into the equation if it's not you. B,
join the club, lady.
There you go. Yeah, you don't agree with shit I say anyways. So it's fine. That's why I brought you on here.
I know.
But the point is that if you think about it from a logical standpoint, since women are more in that survival side of a relationship, where, and again, I don't make the rules. I didn't create nature. Okay, I can lift things heavier than you, and you can probably run longer than me out of cardio. It's a balancing act, right? Like, I'm better at certain things, you're better at certain things, and that goes physically, emotionally, mentally, you name it, right?
Yeah.
So circling back, my point is that men will usually put their feet in the ground and stay on their political beliefs, whereas a woman, if her man is taking care of her, has everything covered, or she feels safe. Yeah, I'm not saying that he's paying all the bills, whatever, but people can identify it any way they want. What I'm saying is that if she feels safe in a relationship and she's absolutely head over heels with this man, I have seen women change religions, let alone political parties. I have never seen, I'm not saying men have it. I'm saying generally speaking, women are more likely to do that. And I think that's interesting. There's something beautiful about it in a way, but I don't see it ever happening if the guy doesn't have his shit together. Ain't no woman changing her political belief. She'll be more feminist if he's MAGA, if he doesn't have his shit together, right?
And on that note, men will change if he's more beta and she's more masculine, then he will bend. I will say that's another category. But to your point, I believe that is true. And I'm gonna marry our points and put them together.
Yeah, because I'm circling back now. I say I've led you into a trap.
Good.
Well, go ahead.
Am I gonna be handcuffed? And
I mean, I didn't bring it.
I don't want a tip of that.
It's really good. There's like cucumbers. This is ridiculous. You got to get the salt. You got to get the...
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, you got to get the salt. You see what she's looking at me, right? Like, it's not just me, right?
So, with, going to your point about women changing,
Generally speaking,
changing their beliefs as people. That I think you're right. I was having a conversation a few months ago about politics and dating, because I have some friends that are very on one side and another, and so we do talk about this whole dynamic. And I use this example that going back to the liberal woman and a conservative man, they fall in love, they have a great relationship, and they move in together. And the man goes to his woman and says, this weekend on Saturday, I'm gonna go to the gun shop and I'm gonna buy a gun, and I'm gonna sign up for a little handgun class, a little safety class, a little instructional, course.
Yeah.
And the liberal woman is like, over my fucking dead body, are you bringing a gun into our home?
Not the greatest threat. Over my dead body, if you bring a gun to home. It's like, you never know, bring a gun to home.
Right.
Maybe don't put ideas in his head. I don't know. Anyway.
So, she's like, this is not happening. And then they love each other. So he can look at her and say, listen, you are my entire life and I love you and I cannot live without you. And if somebody broke into this house and did something to you, I couldn't fucking live. And I will do everything I can to protect you, our home, our family. And so that woman that normally would be like anti-gun and, just like, oh,
Yeah, it's a different frame.
it's a different frame. And so in that moment, she can soften and be like, oh my God, you're so right. And then, he could go further and be like, well, when we have kids, what if, little Johnny gets abducted? And then,
Your brain changes when you have children. Like just chemically, like there's just parts of both men and women's brains that just simply, I call it unlock. They just don't unlock until you actually have a child of your own. And listen, and I would like to say that it's the same if you adopt or if you are a step parent, but it's not. And that's not saying anything bad about those options. It's just how nature designed it. There are just certain chemicals that prioritize your own genetic legacy, right? With you,
it's evolution.
that's just, I didn't make the fucking rules, okay? And so when those parts of your brain unlock because you have a child of your own genes in the mix, it's not that you wouldn't be protected over an adopted child or your stepchild. Obviously you are. I'm protective over friends. I'd take a bullet and send one downrange for some friends, right? And for family that aren't my children, right?
I almost got to a bar fight here in Denver last week because of my friend. I'm spicy, Jason.
That is spicy. This is margarita. This is really good. But what I was saying though is,
Well, I've been told I'm passionate.
so passion's like a really polite way of saying that if you're a spicy little nugget. But that part of the brain, when it unlocks, it allows or exceptions to be made that were never an exception before. I'm going to share with you and everyone watching here too, probably arguably the most amazing thing I've ever heard come out of someone's mouth when it came to the topic of children and love, right? So I had this high school friend. I won't name her, but she knows who she is. She was visiting when I was in my early 20s. She was out here in Colorado visiting, and me, her, I'm sorry. You know what? I take it back. That was a different story, but same person, different story. We're on the phone, and we were talking about dating, and she goes, "Hey, JC," she's like, "I met someone on," and it was at the time it wasn't eHarmony. What was the one that starts with an M? It was Match. It was Match. Also, she had met someone on Match. Now, my friend, we've known each other since we were 15 years old. And she was a man eater, right? Just guys could not handle it. They'd freak out. They didn't get it. Yeah.
Is she my long lost twin sister?
Yeah. And one of her biggest things was she didn't want kids.
Okay.
And she knew she didn't want kids at 15. You understand? She knew she didn't want kids in her early 20s. Like all the times and all the way through, and she gets into, I think we were talking, when we were in our early 30s, I believe we're having this type of same shape. Or no, maybe it was late 20s, something like that. Point is, she meets this guy in Match. They hit it off. They end up dating for a long time, and then one day she calls me to give me an update, and she goes, "What? I'm gonna have his children." And I was like, "Wait, but you hate children?" Like, I was happy for her, but I was like, "But you hate children." And she goes, and I'll never forget. Here's what she said. She said, "I still don't want children. I just want tiny versions of him." And as sweet as that is to hear, it's also very profound from a practical and also evolutionary standpoint. Like, again, it wasn't that the front of her brain changed its mind, because it didn't. She still didn't like kids. It wasn't about the children. It was about, there was something about him where she just wanted little versions of that. And that is probably the sweetest thing I've ever heard in my entire life when it comes to dating.
That's adorable.
It is, right? And I've told the story for years because it just, in that moment, that was the most profound thing I ever heard in it. But you think about it, it changes how you look at it, right? So when you have children, that shows you that there are different parts of the brain that are lighting up for that, right?
I have a similar story as your friend.
Okay.
So once upon a time, I was married, and when we were dating and got engaged, we decided we were not going to have any kids. And we were married for probably like a year and a half. We are in Palm Springs. I was on the pill. I pull out a new pack of pill. It was like I was getting ready to pop it in my mouth. And he's like, stop. I want you to have my babies. And I will never forget. I like literally threw the pill back in the garbage. And I was like pregnant like 3 days later. Like,
Done.
done. There is something like, I'm like sweating right now, not thinking about him, but like, seriously, there is something when a man looks at you and is like, I want to put a baby in.
I can't help but think like the visual is not the same for those, because those I'm gonna put a baby in you. I just feel like taking a ready-made baby and just slicing, putting in like no, that doesn't go that way.
I mean, I could go down many other
Sure, yeah.
versions of that, but I just thought I'd spare the audience from my, squirming in my seat and breathing heavy into the mic.
Start creepy, be do like yes. So this is the problem with headphones. You can really hear. Yeah, it gets really creepy if you do get right in there like that. Yeah. Here's where I'll circle back to our original point, though. Earlier, we said we don't think that men and women can date across the political spectrum. But then we get into this conversation and we realize that there's at least one of the two genders that is willing to compromise if all their boxes are checked, which means that, yes, you can. So I would argue that if you, from a man's point of view, if you have your shit together and you're taking care of your woman and your household and whatever that looks like to you, I'm not going to sit here and say that means a man's paying for everything and doing everything. I don't know. Whatever that safety looks like and that security looks like to a woman, let's just go with that, right? For the listener, right?
Yeah.
Because I always said that women only need one thing in three ways. They just want safety. They want to be emotionally safe, financially safe, and physically safe.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, everything can pretty much be boiled into that. I mean, I can't imagine anything else you could pull out of that couldn't be combined in a Venn diagram overlaying that, right? And if a man is covering those three bases, I think a woman is absolutely, and it's not fake. I watched it happen in real time, and it's a common thing where if they were to split apart, because like you said, he's like, I want a gun, and in any other scenario, she'd be like, go fuck yourself, right? But they have a kid together, or they want to have children together. That changes the frame. All of a sudden, it's like, like you're really anti-gun until you have a kid that you have to protect.
Right.
Right? And this isn't like a gun rights podcast. I'm just saying it's like there are certain things that you are anti until XYZ thing happens. And then all of a sudden, it's up for grabs.
Absolutely. And I would also say, too, that can happen. So if we have, the right over here, the left over here, and moderate, I feel like it's in that moderate range that can happen. I don't think...
I think the moderate range can happen regardless. I think the extremes can happen if they can get to a certain point. Now, although the question is, can they even get to the certain point?
Yes, that's what I was going to say.
I think they can.
And they can, but it's so unlikely. It's so unlikely.
I think they'll fight like motherfuckers before they get to that point, but I think they'll get there.
I mean,
I'm saying.
It is possible. It is possible, but
they might not hate fuck each other the whole way through. I don't know. But that isn't unappealing.
I mean, if you're into that kind of thing, I mean...
Fuck, just not into that. I have never met...
I volunteer as tribute.
Puts on the white gown, lays on the sacrificial table, hands me the knife.
Oh, yeah.
Or the sex toy, where the fuck it is.
How do we read it?
That's why it's podcast and not radio. Because you had a radio show. Tell me about the radio show.
It was Game of Love on Mile High Sports Radio, and it was just...
Oh, wait, how does a sports channel have a love hour or... Yeah, how did you convince them, say, hey, I know you're talking about football, baseball, and all these different sports are very masculine. Here's what I'd like to do, and hear me out. What if we talk about love? Right? Like, how, like I wanted to be in the room when you pitched that.
Jason, I have a great voice.
That is true.
I have a face for TV.
And it's true.
I mean, I'm sitting here with these guys, these sports guys, and I'm like, hey, actually, they pitched me.
How many tequilas in? I think there's a relevant number here.
They liked me. I was fun. And really, the way that the relationship started was I was one of their columnists because there's a magazine. And so what I would do every month, if there was a sport of the month, and I am a mildly creative writer. And so I would take whatever sport of the month it was, and I would make it into some interesting piece to read. Sounds so bizarre, doesn't it?
Yeah.
For example, do you want an example?
Yes.
My
Because so far it sounds like bullshit, I'll be honest.
my favorite article that I ever wrote from them was the baseball edition, and I can't remember the exact title. It was something like How to Hit a Home Run. And
The horny as obvious shit.
it was so corny, but the whole thing was sexual innuendos. And
What are the most views of like anything they've done?
it was so fucking good. And it was so like raunchy and raw. I started like my opener was Babe Ruth, what was it, like 1946, walking out on the field and 8 points.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Call it a shot.
calling a shot. And I'm like, that wasn't the only wood he was slinging that night.
Hey, you.
Sick. My editor, I love him so much. I sent him this article and he's like, what the fuck, Jessica? I cannot publish this. So,
Oh, that fucking attitude.
so
That defeatist, I can't publish this attitude.
if you read this article, it is like PG, but I wrote it like R-rated.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So,
Back to it.
second topic.
Yes.
All right. So the first one we're going over if people can date across political spectrums. So that was just the warm up.
Okay.
Now the juicy shit.
Oh, that was foreplay, huh? Or you went straight to penetration now?
No. You ease it in. Right? It's just you gotta show some love, like you said, first, right? You can drink, you're fine.
I can't swallow right now.
I mean, I'm gonna let that one sit. That's soft pitch. I play fastball. Okay, I'm gonna swing it on that. So
Yes.
now let's take dating to the next logical step, which is where people, marriage, kids, whatever that looks like for a couple. But here's from the political standpoint, here is an issue that's happening right now with immigration. Okay, yeah, the buzzword immigration. Here we go. Strap in, okay, because this is gonna be fast. Time. So, one thing I've always said is this, because America has a crashing population pop. We started inverting the numbers of our ability to replace human birth rates at the rate of how fast we were dying, essentially, or leaving the country. America doesn't have a big emigration problem, so it's usually just a death replacement that we had to worry about and put us in a good spot. Around the 1970s, though, birth control comes in, kills the whole equation. I'm not weighing in on whether birth control is good or bad. It's just a fact that is when the numbers started to plummet. Once people had a better control over birth, turns out they didn't want all the births. Well, okay, great. But now the population starts to go down. It's not replacing itself at the pace that it was before. Now, to be fair, it was replacing itself abundantly before that. So it had some buffer, right? But there becomes a critical point where when we're not having enough babies to replace lower generation, workforce, economy, a boomer generation, not being able to be taken care of, these are all real concerns. Maybe not for every individual listening. They go, well, that doesn't apply to me, or I don't care. It's like, well, you kind of should, though, because the economy affects everybody, right? It's the economy, stupid, right? That's the famous saying. It has always been true. I can't imagine it will ever be true. And when you don't have the babies, that's fine. But here's the thing. You can't be anti-baby and anti-immigration at the same time. The reason being is that immigration was the subsidy for our population. I don't say crash all the time. It's a crash now, but it wasn't always. The point being is that your population is decreasing. If you're not replacing people at a rate that is exceeding where you're dying, you're going to need people coming into your country, this is any country, I don't care what it is,
Okay.
to fill in the blanks, right? To fill in the spots. Because once you age out, you're not going to have senior citizens slinging sledgehammers or in construction.
Are you saying you're pro-child labor? You have children, so they're in the air. Big and veggie.
Well, they just have the little tiny hands. It's so good for making baseballs. The little threads, right? How else do you get in there like that, right? If we just had just an army.
Yeah, that's why I had kids. Put them to work.
China does it. Why can't we have little white babies just sewing baseballs? Is that too much? Did I get dark fast?
No. It's on brand. That's what on brand.
To be fair, yeah, that is. So my point being is that this is where the rights and the ability to control birth crosses our right and ability to control immigration. So again, I'm not necessarily taking a stance here as much as the only stance I'm taking. I know, right? Dude, here's what I did. I just took the two hottest topics in politics, immigration and the right to choose. Is that how you want to put it, right?
Yeah.
And I just said, those right there are at a head. And the only person, and I can't believe I have to say this, the only person who seems to be paying attention to this problem of any kind of status is Elon Musk. And God, here's the thing. He's one of those people where it's like if Einstein and Pee Wee Herman had a baby, right? Like
That was good. One for Mr. Granger.
we're gonna clip that. But it's true, because he's fucking brilliant. We can't not have him. There's no way.
Don't take him away. You'd love to hate him. He is devoid.
We want him on our side here. We want him here. We don't want an Elon Musk in China or any other country that's not us, right? That being said, we also don't want Elon Musk here. Equally as much as I say we cannot possibly do without him, I'm also saying we can't possibly keep him. But that's not a thing, right? That can't be a thing. So we have him. He's ours. We're going to have to deal with it. My point is, regardless of the crazy shit that comes out of this guy's mouth, and I do get that he's on the spectrum, it's not necessarily a pass for everything. It does explain some shit, though. And I will say it explains a lot of shit. It's not a pass, but it does explain it. But the one thing, of all the people, of all the status and influence in America, the only one who's really paying attention to America's population crash is Elon Musk. And it's the one topic that I can absolutely agree with him on. Now, that being said, here's the thing. I don't complain about things unless I want to talk about a solution. It's like, okay, so what is that? So what is the solution? Right? Well, there's a couple options, right? So again, and we'll come back to immigration in a second, but when it comes to, the birth rate, essentially in America, here's where the data dynamic, and this is from the first part, right? We have become split politically. Yep. So now think of it like a chessboard. You're just taking pieces off the board.
That is right. It's like we've all seen it's this analogy is in a movie. There's a bunch of reels about it. It's like, here's the people that you can date. And it's like, okay, cut it in half because this, the age and So yeah, you're right. If you have the whole pool that's, left and right, you're like, oh wow, that's like a million.
The whole political spectrum pool used to be on the table, and now it's not.
Now it's not.
And of all the things to pull away, that's the one that was the biggest, most divided. It wasn't. It was everyone was involved in it, and it just got caught right down the middle. And so the problem is now this circles back. It's like, okay, well, how do you fix a population crash? We'll talk about immigration later, but how do you fix the birth rate issue? Because it is a real issue, and anyone who doesn't think it is doesn't understand basic economics, right? You have to have a certain amount of people replacing the people who are aging out of the system, right? Period. For a lot of things, even insurance. You know who pays for old people to get their heart surgeries? All the young people paying for insurance, right? Who aren't using it because they're young and they're healthy, right? That's how it works. It's basically humans are just one giant fucking Ponzi scheme, okay? Let's be clear. In every respect, I'm pretty sure human nature is a Ponzi scheme, right? So when you come back, though, it's like, well, what do we do? It's like, okay, well, in America, though, men and women are dating less, right? We are starting to hate each other. We're starting to take sides. Guys are on the guy side, girls on the girl side. It looks like a junior high prom dance, and you got the wallflowers. You got the guys on one wall and the girls on the other one. And there's maybe 4 people dancing in the middle, right? Not my junior high. We were actually pretty cool. We all danced. It was nice. But you get my point, though, right? It's that school dance where nobody wants to.
Yeah.
hang out anymore. And that's kind of what's happening, it seems, because, and this is a problem again, because you can't even get to the last step of having babies unless you're at the first step of dating. And right now the dating world is complete and utter shit. Dating apps ruined the fuck out of it, and social media ruined it. Right? If you look at it from, and again, I want you to tell me from a woman's standpoint in a second, from a man's standpoint, here's what happened with social media, Kanan. It used to be where the best looking guy or the doctor in the town would marry the cheerleader or the hottest woman in town. And that was it in your town, right? In your little micro areas, you had the breakdown, the normal bell curve of attractive people and successful, whatever. And it's just, that repeats everywhere you go. And that's how it played out. But then you have social media, then you have Facebook, then you have Instagram. And then you have, from a guy's point of view, now there's women where that doctor is no longer the best option. Now they get flown out to Miami and go on a yacht. Now they're getting flown out to Mexico on a trip with some millionaire. So what you have is less men at the top garnering the attention and the sexual availability of women nationally and internationally. So it's cut the middle out. It was already hard for guys in general because, hunter mentality, you got kill, eat kind of thing, right? But it was a regular fair playing ground. It was proportional to your environment.
Absolutely. And I think it's not just men, it's women too. We have access like we never have before, like you were saying when
Curse of choice then?
it is.
That's interesting. I actually didn't think about that.
Yes. We can get on Instagram and we can see a variety of people to date, both, for men and women. And then we also have, ability to travel the world. And so it's nice, I mean, if I want to date a Italian, then, I'm...
Yeah. I mean, it's a very real, you're one Instagram DM away.
Right.
Whether he slips into yours, you slip into his. And really what it is that men seem overall, again, generally speaking, after social media kicked in and really got a foothold, men, the average man, I should say, because the top men are doing fucking phenomenal, right? I mean, they're crushing it. Hats off, right? But the average man has far less options than he ever did. And the average woman has far more options than she ever did. And that's an equation that overlaps very well when the end goal being, right? So
I don't agree with you.
Because I didn't say quality options that you wanted. See, remember, that's circling. No, we're circling back to, remember I said the curse of options, right? Well, no, the curse of curse of choice. So again, here's an example. I will go on a female friend's dating app. She'll show me. She can sign up. An average woman, let's call her a 6.5 or 6.5 on a scale, 10 scale, right? I don't make the scale, all right? So fuck off, okay? Because I know I'm going to get comment, oh, every woman's a 10. No, they're not, because every guy's not a 10. Sorry, it's just, that's how it works. Anyway, that's an episode for another day. Beauty is objective, not subjective. Otherwise, supermodels wouldn't exist. If beauty wasn't objective, then you wouldn't have people making millions just for their looks, because that means that everyone agrees that they're pretty. All right, anyway, that's my own little tangent. Coming back, though, what the fuck was I saying? So the curse of choice. Yes. If I look at a female friend's dating app, she can sign up, and she can be a 6, and she can sign up, and within 20 minutes, she has 100 likes. It is absurd. Now, it takes time and energy to filter through that. So women kind of they get the zone flooded, and they don't know what to do. Because how do you know which guy has his shit together? They might all be, you might say half of them are, well, actually, statistically speaking, 80% of the men, most women find invisible anyway. So let's take 80% out of that. But that's still 20 options. That's not a small number. And that's just within 20 minutes. If she stays on the app for a week, she's got 1,000. Okay? It's ridiculous. All right. So again, I want to look at this as a subsidy. Okay? Because I can't sit here and say that immigration is a solution, but it is part of it. Okay? So here's where it's interesting. Now it's okay. Well, it is an objective fact that we are just having less date. And so our population is crashing in America, and it is not at the point of no return yet, and that's the reason why I think people haven't noticed is because we had immigration, because we had people filling up the jobs that typically, let's say an American, white bread, so to speak, population in their late teens, early 20s would be filling and serving jobs, but there weren't enough of them because, again, we're not having babies at the rate we need to. So who fills the rest of those jobs? Immigrants, typically, right? And we haven't noticed. No one's talking about it because we haven't seen the problem. But then enter Trump, okay? Now, Trump wants to start deporting illegal immigrants at a clip, right? Now, again, I'm not going to weigh on that necessarily, as much as a direct result of that is going to now unveil the problem and show us upfront exactly what it looks like when you have a population crash, because we were subsidizing that population crash with immigration. You take immigration out of the picture now the consequences of a population crash are going to be extremely noticeable.
That'll be interesting to see.
What's our take on that? Again, and we don't know where it's going to go. We don't know how his policies are going to play out in that sense. And this isn't an immigration topic today as much as how it relates to population crash. So what do you think? Like, if you had to guess, or, do you think that keeping immigration at a certain rate, do we just subsidize it? Or is it a good thing that maybe we're going to feel some pain and then now maybe more people than just Elon Musk are looking at a very real fucking problem just because it punches them in the face? Like, sometimes that's the only way that we learn.
I agree with that. And I think it would be interesting to explore why we are not having babies, as we once were. I mean, yes, you brought up a good point with birth control, but it's more than birth control.
That dating fucking sucks.
Dating.
No, you all said that, so nobody could be. Once you can't start there, you can't do anything else afterward.
Very true. And I feel like I'm gonna get hung in the street for bringing this up, but
We can be hung together. What do you think?
perfect.
That sounded. Anyway, I'll be hung and you can. Anyway, whatever. Fine.
You are probably hung, Jason. Wow, that was the nicest thing I've ever said.
That actually is the nicest thing you ever said to me, and we're gonna clip that, and that's going on my social. Like, hey, I didn't say what you said. You said the PC version of that. I have big dick energy, basically.
That's what I was getting at. I don't know what you're packing over there. Anyway,
What? You haven't seen my goring? I'm on Pornhub. No, I'm not. I'm not on Pornhub. But I mean, it could be. Maybe. I don't know.
I subscribed to your old man.
Yeah, honestly, but it's just beat.
Okay,
Something butthole. So bit.
going back to, okay, have you guys seen the movie Idiocracy?
Oh yeah, that comes up all the time in politics now, which is a scary thought.
It's so freaking scary. But at the beginning of that movie, they talk about population and procreation and, the uneducated people. I'm air quoting right now if you can't see me. That's they're having a ton of babies. They're just it's animalistic, just
How the baby are. Is this interesting where I ship what I'm right now? If you can't see me, I'm Steve. Sorry.
Anyway, on the other side of the spectrum, we are really lucky as Americans, and you and I have had a personal conversation about this, that I feel really blessed that I can do, as an American woman, I can do whatever the fuck I want, and I'm okay. I'm not going to get stoned in the street. My husband's not going to beat the shit out of me because I exposed an ankle, or, I am so lucky. So with that being said, we are very blessed as as Americans to be able to work on ourselves personally, spiritually, to build businesses and wealth. And there's so many beautiful things that we get to do. Now, in that, what has happened in the last few decades is we've been so focused on ourselves. If it's building a company, if it's traveling the world and expanding our horizons, we are putting off getting married and having kids. And for a lot of people, it's too late. Back in the day with our parents and our grandparents, the thing was, you graduated high school, you were getting married and having babies. Or if you went to college, as soon as you graduated.
Really rare for women specifically
and not super common for men. It was, military or blue collar. Yeah, I mean,
But we were having babies in our 20s when we were super fertile, when we, it was easy to get pregnant. And now a lot of people who are, choosing to focus on their career, their education, whatever it is, they're putting off having children until their 30s, their 40s, and they're having trouble conceiving. I mean, it is shocking to me and saddening to see so many people. I mean, just last night I was sitting at the bar with a woman and we were talking about having kids and she asked me if I had kids and I said yes, and I have a small army, and I'm like, do you have any kids? And she got really sad and she's like, no, my husband and I tried, but we started trying in my late 30s, early 40s.
like,
So we're putting it off. And so it's a beautiful thing as Americans that we can focus on all these things, but
But it's a curse.
it is a
because it's a choice. It's the curse of choice. That's full circle. It is the curse of choice.
it is
Dating app.
because we get fulfilled in one way, but we're also jeopardizing our fertile baby making year.
It doesn't help that the biggest lie ever told for women is that you can wait.
That is a huge lie.
I mean, it's objectively a lie. Again, I don't make the fucking rules. I didn't create human beings or the biology. And the thing is that a lot of, and not all women, a lot of women are very well aware of the age ring. But I've dated women that have told me to my face that, oh, well, the percentage is this or this. And I'm like, okay, sure. But here's the problem with bringing up possibility versus top. I don't live in a world of sure. I live in a world of it's. And if you start thinking that you live in a world of should, you're going to be very, very disappointed with how it played out. That's like going to Vegas and putting your money on one number, all of it. And if for some miracle you didn't hit, you just kept doing it over and over again because you were playing on possible. Like, of course it's possible that it could hit that number. Are you really going to put your whole life savings on it? Are you going to bet the full bank on the possibility of an outcome that you're looking for? Or do you want to play the probability? And there are way more attractive places on that board. Put your chips down. And that analogy does actually fit with when it comes to women and men. Because, there's men that have that. We have a much lighter clock. But I've got guy friends that don't have kids yet.
Do you guys have a clock? I don't have a clock.
There's a mental clock, right?
There's no womb aching, right?
There's no ovary shit.
We don't watch a Hallmark movie and then we pain down there in our balls or anything. It doesn't work that way.
Well, I do have conversations with plenty of my male friends, and they start getting into their early 40s or mid 40s, and their psychological clock is they don't want to be the old dad, right? And it's not a matter of how they would look. They want to have the energy to really be with their kid. Yep. And I find that to be a little beautiful. I think that's a good way of looking at it because I did dig deeper, and I was like, well, why do you not want to be the old dad? Are you afraid of how you look? They're like, no, I just want to be able to keep up.
Yeah.
They just and I thought, oh, that's a nice thing to hear. That's the reason why they have.
I've seen that a lot. I've witnessed that with a lot of guys.
And it's not as powerful. And remember, we also don't have biological thought at the same rate anyway that women do. And again, I think it's a shame. But to your point, I guess what I'll give you on this is that again, the biggest lie I ever told to what was that they can wait. And it's like, yeah, you can. And they'll cite some study like, oh look, this percentage. I'm like, okay, cool, but why do you think you're going to be in that percentage? Is that what you would put all your money on that? You're going to bet your fertility on it?
Yeah.
Right?
And also, I really feel for women who they either want to have kids or they're on the fence about having kids, and they just can't find a fucking good man to have babies with. And then
That's sketch.
and then all of a sudden, they either don't find that person, and then, they can't have babies anymore, and or they find a guy and they're like, well, shit, I don't, we feel old and I don't want to have babies now. So
The quote was that women are becoming the men that they want to date. And that's why there's no men to date because yes, they're saying men don't want to date women that are like men. or they might date them, but they will marry them, right? Because again, there's and men and women both have their standards. It's like this, it's not a war, but it is adversarial. For a man to get everything he wants, a woman has to give up a lot of what she wants. So for a woman to get everything she wants, a man has to give up a lot of what he wants. So it is adversarial in nature, but there is compromise and balance, right? The idea and the way nature has allowed it to play out is that although for each party to get everything they want, the other one wouldn't be able to get anything. That being said, we've evolved to compromise in the middle. The problem is there's no middle anymore. In every respect, in the politics now has taken a lot of the middle out. So they're not even starting. Oh, you voted for Trump, or oh, you voted for Biden, or oh, you voted for Obama, or whatever. Swipe left. Fuck you. Yeah, that's the problem. That we're not even starting. We're not even on the people starting the race have been cut in half. Yep. There's people just sitting out, watching in the stands that will never get in that race down. So then now we're not having betas because that's the fourth or fifth degree removed step from starting the dating process. And then we're about to get rid of almost everyone that filled in the gaps of the result and consequence of not having enough babies. So, I mean, I have my guesses. I have my money on numbers as where I think what's going to happen, but we're all going to find out the hard way. Here's where I'm a little split.
Okay. Give it to me.
I don't.
Give it.
Yeah. ASMR. Just give it to her. Find this restaurant. What about these patrons?
They'll love it.
Who would hate it?
Subscribe to our channel.
Yeah, our OnlyFans. We're gonna collab on OnlyFans content, in case you're wondering, and that's how they get more likes from me. I just didn't care per se that there. It's okay. So there's one or two things that's gonna happen. A, the immigration efforts from Trump will be slashed. The knees will be cut out from under judicially. That's one option. I'm not saying that's what's gonna happen. I'm saying that is one possibility. I think that there's a high likelihood that they'll overstep constitutionally. Which, I mean, listen. Trump, he floods the zone. He throws everything at the wall, sees what sticks. He knows it's going to get challenged. He just doesn't care. And there are pros and cons to that, okay? But that's one thing is that that the immigration deportation, they will not be as big of a thing as it could be because just judicially or economically, because it takes a lot of money, by the way, to also do that, okay? And may not get approved by Congress. So there's a lot of ways that can go down. So maybe that's what happens. But the other option is that it absolutely works. And he absolutely gets carte blanche and send out 4 or 5 million illegal immigrants. And then we see the results of what happened when you deplete a workforce of that size that quickly. And again, you can do almost anything you want in America as long as you don't do it fast, right? The only things that are allowed to go fast in America are sports cars and startups. That's it. Anything else you try to move fast, it literally crashes the system, right? And that's the middle get. So again, can you deport 4 million people? Sure. You could spread it out over 10 years and you wouldn't even notice it. You do it in 3? You're going to notice the shit out of that.
You know what you're going to notice? You're going to notice that your Uber Eats takes like 3 hours to get to you because
construction, landscaping,
yes, all of these things.
housekeeping, babysitting, or childcare. I mean, produce.
My house would be filthy.
Yeah, produce.
Yeah.
Most immigrants are picking the produce in fields, and who are you going to replace them with? Well, you're really not, which means supply goes down, which means price goes up. Again, that's its own conversation. What I'm saying, though, is that I don't necessarily, again, let's say that he gets carte blanche, and let's say that Trump is able to afford 3-4 million, whatever his goal is right now, in a short amount of time. The only silver lining I can see to that personally, the criminals aside, obviously, both sides of the aisle are totally down with criminal being rounded up and set the fuck home. Nobody's arguing that one. But like most immigrants, by the way, statistically, are good people. They work and they pay taxes, by the way, too. People don't know that part. They are literally putting money into the system, and you want to get rid of all of them? You're getting rid of the workers and the income? That could be a problem. But the only silver lining that I can see, let's say the biggest silver lining I can see, if that were to happen, is that maybe, just fucking maybe, it might be the punch in the goddamn face that America needs to see what actually happens when you have a population crash. Because again, the only person of any kind of status talking about it is a guy who is half brilliant and half batshit motherfucking crazy, man. And that's Elon Musk. For better or worse, my God, right? And I think more people need to be talking about population crash. That's where I'm at.
Well, yeah, maybe, but I think it's going to be one of those things. People are not going to talk about it until it's a problem.
To the push in the face?
Yeah, no, it's pushing the face. Okay, I gotta say that when you were talking in my head, I was like, Handmaid's Tale. That's what's gonna happen.
Here's the thing.
I'm not saying that's what's gonna happen. And
The great thing about America is that everyone freaks out about a lot of shit that's never gonna happen.
oh, I love
The fact that we have the checks and balances, the guardrails have kept us from going off the edge every single time. We're still here. Oh, I know that, right? We're not in a World War III. And people say, oh, it's coming. Like, people have been saying World War III has been coming since the day after the end of World War II. Just so we're clear, you could always find people that would say, point to this and point to that and say, well, the end is coming, and if we do this, everything's gonna go to shit. And or there's some president that they didn't like that got elected to say, Obama's gonna take away all our guns. None of the guns went away. Yeah, right. Trump's gonna deport everyone in his first term. To be fair, no, he didn't. In fact, he deported half the numbers in his first term that Obama did in his first term. Trump deported 800,000 people in his first term. Obama is the GOAT, and he did 1.6 million in his first term. The reason why you didn't hear about it is because that's not a selling point in the Democratic. You can't they keep that on you yell it on the low because half of your demographic are Europe's. A child of immigrants or foreign vacation because they own social issues. It's also why they can do whatever they want. So it's funny because Obama administration had to keep their deportations on the low. Now, did he come out and do a big speech about it? Yeah, but he did once, and then people forgot about it after the news cycle changed, right? After that, they didn't say any more things about it. They just did it, right? They didn't want to brand it. Trump likes to brand it, and that's fine. What's interesting, though, is that on the opposite side, Trump is terrible about the deficit. He ran the deficit up like a motherfucker in his first term, but they're not trying to brand that, are they? They don't want to brand spending. Democrats don't mind branding spending because they take the position of, let's spend money to make money, or let's spend money to help people, right? So they'll they'll brand spending money, right? Republicans don't want to brand that, so they're still going to do it. We're just not going to say anything about it. They might do one release, one little speech just to say that, oh, we told you so, in case this comes up later, right? And then all of a sudden, on the DL, listen, you can lower taxes, right? But then that's why, but where are you going to replace the income, right? At some point, the bill comes due.
yes. I'm not going to touch the immigration because I feel like we could do another 2 hours on it, and I have so many thoughts on it, and I say those thoughts for 2 people in my life, and it's hush hush because
I'm definitely not one of their people there, but
I mean,
Monday your birthday, Spark.
I will say this, that when it comes to dating across the political spectrum, is that politics right now is so divisive, and it's ugly, and it's nasty, and I started the show by saying I was born into a house divided. What I didn't share is the house stayed divided, and when everything got very heated in the outside world, in my family, it was almost like a Jerry Springer episode. There is nothing ever got that physically not
Chairs, no chairs.
there were no chairs. Yeah, no, none of that. But there were a lot of things said in my family, and the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I'm really proud of my family, each person in it, because we all had very different stance on politics, and we all looked across the table and been like, that stupid motherfucker thinks that stupid ass idea is right, and you're a fucking idiot. And what we had to do as individuals, and even my children had to do this, that we had to take a step back and say, okay, family first.
Okay. So unfortunately, we had a little bit of a technical difficulty at the end of that podcast. And, we filmed this one actually like a few months ago, and I kind of just let it sit on my computer for a while because I was upset that we had that technical difficulty. I'm like, how do we, do we go and wear the same things again and like pretend like it didn't happen and splice it in? And I thought, that's just such a pain in the ass. And Jessica was such a good sport about it because we didn't want to lose and ruin the episode by doing anything other than me just saying, hey, I messed up on my settings and the camera gave out. But it was at the end of the podcast, and it was such a good podcast that I just thought I'd film this to let you know, hey, I apologize, but that hasn't happened since we fixed the problem, and I just wanted you to be able to see this podcast anyway, even though we had some issues at the end. So I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll have another episode coming soon.